How's everyone? Good morning.
I don't think they heard you.
Good morning.
That's a little better.
Yeah, I like that a little more. Oh, man. How's everybody feeling? Everybody good? Thank you for coming to Invest in Sports. Let's give another shout out to the sponsors, Proscour, Inner Circle Sports, City National, and many more. We have a great session coming up for you guys. For those who don't know me, my name is Eric Jackson. I'm a sports business reporter at Sportico, and welcome from football to finance. And I'm joined by a special guest. You've probably seen him in his former profession, where he terrorized quarterbacks on Sundays. Now he's in a new phase of life.
Still terrorizing people, but
In a new phase of life now as managing director of the private wealth management division at Goldman Sachs. Can we get a round of applause for Justin Tuck?
thank you.
JT, how you feeling, man?
I'm good. It's sunny outside. It's getting late October, so I know we're heading into winter. But I actually love the fact that this weather right now is great, and I got outside and walked a little bit with my wife this morning, so I'm in a good space right now. So I'm excited for this.
Oh yeah, man, it's crispy. It's crispy outside. How many Giants fans do we got? Can we get a show of hands? How many Big Blue fans we got? All right.
That's brave
JT,
nowadays. I appreciate that, by the way.
All right.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, I think some people are a little shy, JT, because the Giants are off to a slow start, 3-game losing streak. JT, what do your Giants need to do to get back on track here? We got to talk a little football, right? Before we get to everything else, we got to.
Just so y'all know, I told Eric not to ask me anything about the Giants back there. But no, I think you want the honest answer, or you want me to be funny real quick? I think Mr. Marin needs to go back to 2008 and just his time machine and bring back the Eli Mannings, the Justin Tucks, the Michael Strahans, the O.C. Umenyuras, the Brandon Jacobs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But on a serious note, listen, I know how hard it is to win in this league. I know how the parity of the talent within this league just continues to get tighter and tighter every year. When you have a team like we have at the Giants and you have some key injuries, it's hard to replace those. And I can sit there and see how Andrew Thomas, that left tackle, is hurting us right now. Saquon Barkley, that is a lot of production that we're not getting right now. And it puts, on the offensive side of the ball, it's putting our defense in some situations that we don't really thrive in. And once that ball kind of starts going downhill and you're playing the teams like Miami, and we got Buffalo this week, and the talent that is on those teams, it can turn into a 3-game losing streak. So I know that team is frustrated. I know Dabo is frustrated. But I also know that team is going to fight and continue to go out and try to figure this out. And I'm going to be, for one, is going to be on the side of support and not be the typical New York Giant fan right now. But it's tough, though. And I do believe that they still can kind of right the ship and find some solace in this season. But it's an uphill journey.
No, absolutely, for sure. And, speaking of the glory days that you were a part of, JT, 2-time Super Bowl champion, you were a leader and captain on those teams. In your life now, how do those skills, the leadership skills, translate into the world of finance for you?
I think the biggest way is that when you're in a locker room of 53 alpha egotistical males that have been very successful at every kind of level in which they've played the sport, and you have to find a way to be the captain of those other 52 and get all 52 to pull the rope in the same direction, and knowing that if one person is not pulling in the same direction, your team is going to fail. You have to figure out ways to truly understand motivations, understand where people are coming from, and how best to lead them. And that doesn't look the same. I knew for a fact that what I had to do to get O.C. Umenyura to play his best game was different than what I had to do to get, Victor Cruz to play his best game, and vice versa. So I think a lot of similarities in the role I play in Goldman now, and the team that I represent there, is all of my peers there, constituents, teammates have been super successful. They went to Ivy League schools. They've gotten all A's throughout. They've had success, and they had multiple job offers, and they chose to come to Goldman Sachs. Now I have to figure out, how do I get all 42 people on my team to pull the rope the same direction. Because if we don't, it doesn't equate to us losing games, but it equates to clients losing money and people going over to, some of our competitors. And we obviously can't have that. So I think a lot of those similarities in me leading a locker room is very similar to me now leading a financial service team.
Right, and you're speaking internally at Goldman too, right?
Sure.
Yeah, right.
100%. It's very similar to the NFL. It's very, very great to be around very talented people. And with that comes a lot of responsibility, a lot of stress, and making sure that you're putting people in the right direction and right positions to succeed. I didn't want, and obviously Eli had more to do with this side of the ball than I did, but you didn't want Victor Cruz running over the middle too much and getting knocked out by linebackers. You wanted him on the edge, outrunning cornerbacks and safeties and doing his salsa dance in the end zone, right? You didn't want O.C. Manure being, I'm getting technical here. You didn't want a small defensive end playing a 4 technique and having a 350-pound left tackle beating him up all game. You wanted him on the edge utilizing his skill set. So the same thing in this world, man. I think when I think about how we surround ourselves in the business that we run at Goldman, it's, all of my teammates are going to have very, very particular skill sets, and it's my job to make sure that they're able to really go out and use those skill sets to the benefit of what the end goal is.
Yeah, no, definitely, for sure. And, we have a lot of, I speak with a lot of former NFL and different athletes, and, a lot of them say, they're enjoying their new professions now and their new lives, but...
So what took you so long to get me here, man?
I know, man, I know. I'm on the clock, I am. No, and a lot of them say, JT, they say they enjoy what they're doing, but they're also like, there's nothing like running out that tunnel on Sundays, Is there a comparable feeling of, sacking a quarterback and is it closing a deal? Is it, is there a comparable feeling there?
I don't know if it's comparable, but it's close. I mean, I always try to stab at Tom Brady whenever I get a chance to, right? As much as I love Tom, it's kind of easy. We won 2 Super Bowls against probably the greatest quarterback to ever play the game, and we had a lot of success against him. I don't know if I've got to a point yet where the same, feel is the same on the corporate side, because think about it, right? I got the opportunity to sack him in front of basically 250 plus countries, right?
And you would do it again if you had the opportunity.
I would love to have a deal at Goldman Sachs that I closed in front of 250 countries. Not there yet. Got a few countries, not 250. So from that perspective, though, but again, I think the comparable is I grew up playing football. Football to me was easy. It was what I, was God-given talent to be big, fast, strong, and aggressive, right? So football for me was never the end goal. It was just kind of how I looked at it. It was a stepping stone to where I wanted to get from a legacy point. What I do now, I didn't have an understanding of this when I was a kid. I didn't have so being in the rooms that we get to sit in and working on the deals that we get to work on and being with the people and the intellectual capacity of these people we work with at a day-to-day basis for me is still new, right? I've been doing this for 6 years now, but it's still new. It's still kind of mesmerizing to just see how talented that the world has in this financial sector. And so that part of it is different, but that part of it is just mind-blowing to me. That you see why these people are so successful and some of these deals are so huge and vice versa, et cetera.
It's interesting, JT, because I feel like a lot of athletes especially pro, the transition can be a little tough sometimes, right? You've been playing football your whole life or basketball or whatever sport, and then now it's time to find the different life. How are you able to just make that smooth transition from locker room to boardroom, so to speak?
I wouldn't call it smooth. What I would say is I always looked at sports as the opportunity to get a free education, to be honest with you. My dad drilled that into me. My mom drilled that into me as a kid. He was like, yeah, we're super excited about you scoring all these touchdowns and scoring all these points, but we're also excited about the fact that you're going to get a 4-year ride to a place like Notre Dame and we don't have to pay for it. So from that perspective, I've always kind of thought about sports in a way to like how does my time as a New York Giant captain, Super Bowl winner, allow me to get into these rooms when I'm hot, right? And there's some people in the crowd that I probably cold called when I was in the league and wanted to learn more about your businesses or your counterparts, because it's easy to say, hey, Mr. CEO, hey, Titan of business, I would love to come and have a coffee with you and learn more about what you do, because I know football is not going to last long and I'm going to have something next. And I did that all while I was playing. I have 2 sack games where you played on Monday night or whatever it may be. The next day, you're getting an email or a text message or something from me saying, hey, what does your Tuesday morning look like? And for me, it was about I knew for a fact that there was a lot of things out there in the world that I hadn't got exposed to that I wanted to be exposed to. And the only way I knew how to do that was using the platform or sports to do so. So from the what's the word I'm looking for right there? The transition from football to finance was taking place when I was in my rookie year. Was taking place when I went to Notre Dame, for that matter. And I think why it looks so smooth is almost kind of like seeing a duck swim. If you've ever seen a duck swim, no one sees the paddling underwater, but those legs are going crazy. So that was years of me going crazy that hopefully now it looks smooth. But like, no, there's some of my Goldman partners in here now, and they'll tell you, no, it wasn't smooth. He had no idea what he was doing, call it 6 years ago. And in a lot of ways, I still don't. But like, I'm so eager to learn. I don't tell any of my clients this, but I almost feel like I get paid to learn. Every time I go into a new deal or a new opportunity or a new sector or a new client that's in tech or real estate or financial services, et cetera, I'm in a lot of ways a jack of all trades. So, but they're the titan of that industry. I'm learning from them while getting paid from them. And then I can take the understanding and the learnings I got from my tech CEO. Well, my real estate guy might say, what do you know about tech? Well, guess what? I just learned this from XYZ and parlay it into, and I'm constantly learning. I'm constantly stirring the pot of being exposed to new things. And regardless if I feel like I know these things, I'm constantly learning new things. It's just like for me playing football. Every time I watch a game on Monday night and I listen to Peyton and Eli, I learn a little bit more about 6 cloud coverage, or I learn a little bit more about cover 2, or I learn a little bit more about what the hand placement of a left tackle should be when he has a speed rusher on the side that also has an inside move. That is kind of how I look at the world that I live in right now. And who knows, right? Who knows what this leads to? But like, I really feel like the world is my oyster because I'm getting exposed to all these different things.
Being a sponge, right? You would say.
100%.
You know, I'm from Atlanta. I'm a Georgia boy. I'm from the South. You are as well. Humble beginnings in Kellyton, Alabama, JT. You know, how did that just shape you? You would say.
I was doing that because I always tell this joke. There are more people in this room right now than it is in Kellyton, Alabama. If you don't believe me, take out your phones and Google Kellyton and see how many people are in Kellyton, Alabama. I'll wait. It's less than 200, by the way. So when you say humble beginnings, but like the great thing about that was all of my family was there. Most of it is still there. I had such a community. I never went hungry, as you probably can tell. If I didn't like what my mom cooked, I could go next door to my grandma. If I didn't like what she cooked, I could go next door to my uncle, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I just grew up in this place of so much great community and so much great support. And I would never change it for anything. I've been all around the world. I've seen a lot of different cultures and communities, and I wouldn't trade mine for anything. And I think that puts you in this place, you said humble, it puts you in this place of humility where no matter what I do in life, no matter what my deemed successes have been, I don't even really look at them as that big of a deal. Because my dad is literally like, if you don't live with character, if you don't live with purpose, if you don't, believe in God, if you don't do all these things that the world kind of deems as like cast aside, then you're not really my son. So I live in that world of like, no matter Super Bowl, if you looked at me in the Super Bowl, after the Super Bowl, I went and sat on a golf cart with my family and I watched all of my teammates celebrate.
What?
Look it up. Because at the end of the day, it ain't about, I was never like this result-driven person. I love the process. I love getting there. And literally right after the clock said 000, all I could think about was, how do we get here again next year? And I think that's kind of like why I kind of live in this world where all this stuff that people think is so impressive, it's not. Not to me, it is, at least. And I think that's what keeps me going and not being kind of like in this world of like satisfied, because I think it's a bigger calling on my life to kind of continue to grow and continue to build that legacy that hopefully my kids will build on and their kids will build on, et cetera, et cetera.
Not being content, I think that leads to the success you've had for sure. I would love to just talk a little bit about the work, right? You're co-head of the Private Wealth Management Inclusion Wealth Initiative, right?
Yep.
And Goldman Sachs is trying to increase their presence, right, in the Black community. And I want to ask you how you guys are, connecting to more diverse clients and empowering them.
It's tough, right? Because if you think about the Black community, we typically look at our financial institutions as those pillars that were in our community. Goldman Sachs really doesn't have a brick and mortar presence. So I'm using myself as an example. I didn't know what Goldman Sachs was. I knew what Chase was. I knew what Bank of America was, because those were the places where I first got my banking accounts. Those were the places where I first, had a debit card, et cetera, that probably had $5 in it when I was at Notre Dame. So that's what my mind constantly went to. When you think about Goldman and why I personally think we have been behind in some capacities in the Black communities, because we don't have that pillar. So how do we get behind that 8 ball? Well, I think it's making sure that we meet people where they are. It's making sure that we are representing or being present in the places in which the Black community deems important, and not in a fake, yeah, we're the big bad Goldman Sachs and we know it all. No, but like to go in and learn, to sit down at the table and understand, to listen, to ask questions, and not come in and be demonstrative around our track record and what we've accomplished. No, because it's different. And it's more about, right now, we're in the Black community, I feel like when I survey clients and people in that space, we are more of a agent of sustainability instead of an agent of creation. And we're trying to flip that on its head, where we're going out and saying, no, we want to help grow the pie. And we don't have the understandings yet. We don't, and I could get into this world of comparisons, but that's our goal. I'm super excited by, David's lead on this, John's lead on this, and the resources that we are getting put behind us to go out and really make an impact in this world. And it starts with education. It starts with helping, for me personally, the Black community, athletes, entertainers, understand their wealth, understand their power, understand their brand. And again, stepping back and saying, let me learn right now before before we go out and start demonstratively taking action, because it's complicated.
Yeah, do you feel like a responsibility now that you've had some success post-career now, kind of, helping the next athlete and entertainer along the way, right, to carve their own path, right?
I mean, yeah, but everyone for that matter, not just siloing to athlete and entertainer, but especially there, because that's the world I grew up in, that's the world I truly, truly understand, and I know it's needed. I know that, athletes and entertainers are making so much money now, but I don't think historically understand what comes with that, and what can be out there the reason why I got in this business is because you can imagine I was in an NFL locker room, or the setting of an NFL locker room, for all of my adult years. And I saw the horror stories, I saw the mismanagement of money and funds, I saw the not understanding taxes, agent fees, et cetera, right? So I wanted to be I wanted to use my platform to be more of having a seat at the table. One of my mentors once told me, if you don't have a seat at the table, then you're on the menu. So I just wanted to make sure that I was doing my part to get that seat at the table. And from there, you can start talking about ownership and equity, et cetera, because that's one thing I've noticed from this new age of athlete. They are taking ownership in their brand, their name, image, and likeness. And I'm all for it.
we're kind of winding down here, but I want to leave on this note. JT, I usually ask this on the weekly videocast we do, but JT, what's the best business lesson you've learned, throughout your career? Something to leave us with that from the last 6 years with Goldman, even maybe including even the NFL career, that comes to mind for you.
I would probably say the best lesson I've learned, and I apply it to business, but I apply it to my everyday life too, is surround yourself with the right people, and don't be afraid for those people to change over time as your needs, wants change as well. So for that matter, I have a personal board of directors. I started this my freshman year in college, and it was centered around all the things that I was interested in. If I was interested in sports investing, I went out and tried to find in my circle of friends and acquaintances who was the best person to teach me more about sports investing. If I was interested in tech, if I was interested in real estate, if I was interested in gaming, if I was whatever it was, I just went around to my people that I made relationships with and built a board of directors. And that board of directors has changed over the course of 15 years, but it's still intact. I have one person that is literally the chairman, and what he says kind of goes. And then I would say I have 8 other people that I kind of utilize based on where my interests lie.
I thought the chairwoman was going to be the wife, no? The chairman?
No. The chairman of my life board,
Right,
is one. Is one board member. And that's Lauren Tuck. I think what that has done for me is it got me out of this world of trying to reinvent the wheel. I think that's one of the things that I get frustrated with, especially with athletes, where we dive out of this world of what we've been very successful with in basketball, football, whatever it is. But I think we forget that none of us started football at an all-pro level or an all-star level. We played Pop Warner, we played high school, we played college, et cetera, and we've built our expertise in that sport up over the years. And then when we transition out of football to finance, it's like, well, why can't I be a managing director today? I was an all-pro 2-time Super Bowl winner, blah, 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 blah. Well, why can't I go in this parallel fashion? No. It's a start over, my friend. And I think that world of my board of directors has helped me to understand that. No, you have to go back and put the same tedious training. I don't know what the equivalency of throwing up in the financial sector, but when I used to run as a kid, my trainers, my coaches would run me till I threw up. Well, you got to do that same stuff over here to get to that level in which you were in that sport. So that has been the best lesson that I've learned, and obviously it parlays into this spider web of lessons.
You heard it from JT. Your network is your net worth. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you all for coming. From football to finance, Justin, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it, Eric.